People are always asking me how I grow my hydrangeas. And I have a lot of answers for you. So this is the first video in a series of videos I have on hydrangeas. You can find them in my playlists below here on YouTube. I'm starting to do longer form content, and I so appreciate those of you who are here and leaving me comments or inspiring things. I really appreciate it. It helps me know what to film for you as well. My name is Natalie. I garden in Utah, Zone 7A. Zone 7A is a hot, dry, high UV area. We have really big swings from super hot to super cold. So it's really hot and it's really cold. And I personally love growing a couple different types of hydrangeas. The one we're talking about today are the Hydrangea macrophylla, and a new one. These are the big leaf hydrangeas. Now these ones were grown specifically for Costco stores. They were grown by a local grower, Olson's Greenhouse, who, if you want to find me, I'm also on their channel. After being an ambassador for them for 4 years, I am now their brand strategist. You can find me on their Instagram account, and if you want to leave questions there too, I am happy to answer them. Now these ones were grown for Costco stores. You may also have seen them in Home Depot stores, and let me show you what the difference is. The difference, don't quote me on prices, and prices are different everywhere. The difference is the bucket. Now, this is going to tell you a lot of things about your hydrangea. It's most likely going to tell you that this is a beautiful florist hydrangea, which in layman's terms means annual hydrangea in my area because of the cold winters. Now, if you live in New Jersey or somewhere that maybe doesn't get quite as cold as we do here, this might be, or Nantucket, this might be a wonderful perennial hydrangea. We jokingly call them annual hydrangeas here, but just know if I'm saying a florist hydrangea, I consider it an annual here in Utah and lots of other places. So the big leaf hydrangea, like this one, they can turn blue, they can turn pink. I mentioned in some other videos, it's really hard to keep them blue here in Utah because our soil and our water are both really alkaline. But if you've bought these, I need to show you some tricks that I do to keep them looking like this. Now, this one actually does have a tag, and the tag on this one, I'm getting dirt everywhere, just says flowering florist hydrangea. Exposure prefers bright light. Now, bright light does not mean full sun, and even on this tag, there is a sun right there, which that's fine. I would never plant this in the sun. It would die within 2 days in my yard. In fact, I had these sitting on my porch in preparation of making this video just over the weekend, and they were about 2 feet too far on my porch toward the west side, and they shriveled up and looked absolutely awful. But this particular variety that Olson's grows, I truly love, because as you can see, this is the same hydrangea from yesterday that looked like trash, and I brought it back. So I'll show you how to do that as well. So the first thing you need to know about hydrangeas is what type you're buying. So a black pot, or this one is another fun hydrangea. This is a new one to me. I've never grown this one before. This is a Proven Winners Fairy Trail Bride. And that's right, I did say Fairy Trail with a TR, not fairy tale, Fairy Trail Bride. I haven't grown this one before. It's a cascading hydrangea. Now this one, they had at my Home Depot stores. And if you haven't heard of cascading hydrangeas, the habit on these trails down and out of the pot instead of growing upright and more vertical. Now this came from Home Depot store, and they have these new, this is so heavy and I didn't even water it this weekend so I could lift it to show you, hydro planters on the bottom. Now this is a key point in how I keep my hydrangeas looking beautiful. Now you noticed I had the Costco ones in that black pot. The Home Depot version comes in a hydro planter, and it costs maybe $10 more at my stores than the Costco version. But what you're getting with that is a hydro planter and more soil volume. This isn't a very fair comparison because I don't have one of the Home Depot ones. I should have picked one up. See the difference in the amount of soil on this planter versus this planter. Now I got these because I'm gonna put them into my own self-watering planters. If you're new here, I love Maine planters. I got some last year for right next to my front door, and I absolutely love them. My hydrangeas did so well last year, and they were so easy. The other thing that my Home Depot variety comes with is a little wire ring. It's a peony ring type looking situation. And I love that they added those. I'm not sure that all stores did that, but Olsen's did that on theirs. I'm out of breath, those were so heavy. And I think it really helped the look of the hydrangeas because some of them, as those heads get so big and floppy, they start to droop. Let me go show you where these are going. But before I show you where they're going, I want to show you a couple more that I picked up because there's some other fun new varieties that you should be looking out for. So this is called a Hydrangea, and a Hydrangea is new genetics. I did water this one yesterday, and a Hydrangea is also a beautiful cascading hydrangea. They come in a light pink, a light blue, and then I saw this pink. I think they come in a couple other colors, but those are the only ones I saw in the greenhouse. You can see them at the end of my last hydrangea video, the most recent one. And it comes in these cute black pots that you can use just like this. I'm actually gonna transfer mine to some different pots that I'm excited to show you later in the video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now these ones, I actually cut the hangers off on mine because they were too hard to unclip on this guy and had them inside for some Easter decor and also because I wasn't ready to film this video and plant them just yet. But these are also big leaf hydrangea. I'm gonna keep mine. Okay, so here's my dilemma. I have window boxes. My plan was to put them in the window boxes, not the hanging baskets. I might be changing my plan up a little bit. We'll see how this video goes. I'm very indecisive, and that's what I love about Instagram is people can get on and give me opinions right away. So I might go and take a poll on there and then come back to filming this video. When the Hydrangea macrophylla says part sun, for me here in the Utah desert, it means morning sun. Now my house faces southeast, and mine do really great on that southeast porch. If they're up by my door, my window boxes are out on the edge of my porch more, so they get hours more sun than next to my front door. And the morning sun generally is a little bit cooler, less intense than my afternoon and evening sun. So I know they work really well right there. And then there's also a beautiful spot down by my arbor where I like to place them because it's in full shade almost all of the day and they just look beautiful there. So I'm gonna plant them there again because I don't have very many shady spots in my yard. But can we talk about the lilacs for a second? They smell so good. If you want a lilac video, comment below. I have definite opinions and thoughts and lots of mistakes / ideas on lilacs too. Oh, they're so good. Perennial hydrangeas, we will cover in another video because that's its own thing and we'll actually probably do several videos on that this summer. Make sure you subscribe and follow along so you don't miss anything. You can hit the notification bell, as my kids always say. I am really into making gardening accessible for beginners, and I have 4 children and like 3 jobs. So I have to make things really simple and easy. My mom's a professional organizer and she always talks about systems. I literally have systems for everything. And part of this YouTube channel is to share with you my journey of finding systems that let me grow a ton of plants very well without putting in a lot of effort. And I wanted to show you the Hydrangea. Look at the cool double petal on these. Can you see that? They're really striking. And I feel like the pale blue and the pale pink that I was showing you in the dining room were even more vigorous growers than the hot pink. I don't know if that's a thing. I'll be watching mine just to see if that is the case, but those ones are gigantic, especially the pale pink. Before we move outside, I want to show you how to rehab your sad, dried out hydrangeas. Now this might take some time, and one of the things that I use is completely free, and you need to go treat yourself to a Costco cake. I've been using these for multiple years. It's kind of interesting how they've gotten smaller and smaller, but the bigger that you can find, the better. You can also buy, those plastic things or find something at the store, or I have these big silver bowls that I use in my kitchen a lot. This is fantastic. What I do is I put the hydrangea inside of this, and I set it right here next to my sink. That's why there's so many hydrangeas right here, and houseplants getting watered by my sink. I'll just set it right there and then fill this up more than halfway up the side of this. Now this might take some time. If you're doing this and your hydrangea has been very neglected or even just a day or two, mine, like I said, it wasn't even the full weekend out on the front porch to make them look like this, and it was really sad. So I'll fill this up. These will drink so much more water than you think. I put more than a gallon in here yesterday. And then if you're by a sink, you can also put your sprayer on, do it in the sink, obviously. Put your sprayer on and mist the petals, because hydrangeas are the only plant that I actually water the petals on, because cute neighbor Stacy is, oh shoot, that was hot water. Okay, wait, we gotta redo this. Don't put hot water. It needs to be cold water. All right. I like to have the plant in the container because I have a tendency to overfill the container and then I'll have to go dump out a bunch of water and it's a mess. So I always have the plant in while I'm filling it. Let's try this again. We don't want hot water in there. You can actually hear the air bubbles coming out, and I watered this yesterday, so I'm kind of surprised that it has air bubbles coming out already. I don't water through the soil at the top because that leads to problems with fungus gnats, and these are going outside, so they're not going to be in my house for very long, but anything I can do to reduce the fungus gnats makes my husband happy. So that's why I water from the bottom. Bottom watering will also help your soil that's gotten really rock hard. Mine wasn't even really rock hard, but I watered them with a hose and they weren't perking up outside. I watered all the petals, they didn't look any better, so I had to bring them inside for a little spa day. Now, when I went to bed last night, they honestly didn't look that much better. Some of the colors looked better than the other colors, which is a little surprising to me. The blue took the longest to pop back, but it looks great today. Now, this basket has one of those Costco lids down in the bottom. That's another hack I use. I like to go to Home Goods and take those little cake tops and put them in the bottom, and then I can just set my grower's pot right inside and it's not gonna drain and spill all over my floors. All right, so if I was keeping it inside, that's the way I would do it indoors. Cake dome lid, pretty basket, and my hydrangea. Depending on where you put them in your house, don't set them by a vent because that will whisk the water away faster than what you want. If they're in a sunnier spot, you will need to water them more often. And I will water them with a spritz water bottle and also water down into the soil. Now this is the morning sun that I was talking about. And to be honest, it's 10 o'clock in the morning right now and it's still pretty sunny. You can see this is the planter that I did last season and it was so beautiful that I want to do it again. I'm gonna try and do it a little bit differently. I get in the habit of wanting to do things the same because they were very successful. So we're gonna shake things up a little bit, and that is not at all in my personality. So this one is starting to get a little shaded. These have been right here for a little while now, and they've done just great. Now this side of my porch is slightly shadier because there's a pillar right there to block the sun, but there's not a pillar to block the sun over here. So sometimes you need to be conscious of those types of changes in the lighting throughout the day on your porch. Now let's talk about these planters. These are a self-watering planter, and what that means is they have a well in the bottom that holds extra water. Now these guys, I've actually attached a drip line to them as well. My house is a little odd because the main floor, the second story. So my front door is it's on the second story. It's up a whole flight from the ground, but these drip lines go down the sides of my columns right into my drip line on the ground. And there's just a little 1/4-inch tube that runs up the side of the house. I kind of had this tucked under here and it's curled up a little bit from the winter and the heat. And I usually just tuck it underneath my doormat. Can't have a tripping hazard right at your front door, right? You gotta make sure that you have things covered really carefully. I don't want my parents to fall when they come and visit. So nice of you guys to ask about my mom. I don't think I've mentioned on here. She took a fall, a little spill, just tripped on her own feet. But she's doing better, so hopefully we'll get her out at the nursery again sometime really soon. It's been a hard recovery for her, obviously. Just messed up her ankle and she hit her head too. So make sure that you don't have things where people can trip on them. Now it comes up the drip line over there, it comes across, and then a little spout into this one and a little spout into that one, and then the connector is right here under the board. It's tucked under there. Now you can see right here, I have my spring daffodils, and I didn't pull these out yet. I actually need to get some gloves on because if you don't know this about daffodils, they have a toxic sap in them. That's why deer don't love them. We actually have antelope over here, not deer. So I would either take scissors or you can come down in. You want to pop off the seed pod. These are forced daffodils, by the way, because I never have time in the fall to plant my daffodils. Like I said, I'm really busy. This is what develops into a little seed pod, and you don't want the plant putting any of the energy into that. You want it into developing more of the bulb so you can get big flowers next season. Now what I'm gonna do with these, I'm actually gonna pull these out and plant them in my flower beds. I'll show you the cute little landscape area that we added last year. I'd love to do a video about that. Here's the secret that they're hiding. Oh, they're still in the pots inside of my pot. And they do just fine like this. So you can see these are my daffodils. So I'll just take this. Sometimes I forget to leave them in the pot and sometimes I actually plant them and they pop out pretty easily. Even when I do that, let's check on this one because this one, I'm pretty sure I planted these. I took these to the TV station to do a little segment. And I'm pretty sure these are the ones that I planted down in the soil. And you can see they're doing really well. I like to pop these off. It's a great job for the neighborhood kids. If you are paying kids for summer camp things or my own kids, this is how they make money. They have some little things as they get older that they get to pay for. I like to pop those off and then I will grab kind of a clump of these at a time just to gently lift them out. It probably doesn't look like I'm being very gentle, but they've actually rooted in pretty well. And I should not be doing this right on my porch, but I am. There we go. So this is ready to go get planted out in the garden. I'm gonna pop all those out and tell you about this pot at the same time. Now this is a self-watering hanging basket planter. This one was sent to me by the good people at Earth Planter. And I tested them out just here on my porch last season and they were amazing. They hold gallons of water. I am not as confident in the construction of my porch from my builder, to be quite honest. So that's the reason I never hung them last season. But I'm gonna have my husband look into it because I'd really love to try hanging these with those hydrangeas on the front porch. If not, I'll do super petunias, I think, because I love the way the super petunias looked. I did either jazzberry or bubblegum. I think I did jazzberry in them last year and they were incredible. They completely covered the pot almost immediately. All right, there's my little Easter bunny. Okay, these are ready to go get planted up in the yard. This is ready to, I actually don't need this to be planted up for anything, so I will probably grab these pansies out and put them into other planters or stick them in little spots in my yard. In all honesty, it's so sunny right now on the porch that even with sunglasses on, I can barely see you. So there's actually a few hyacinths tucked into this one as well that I have already deadheaded. And I do the exact same thing with hyacinths. I don't plant tulips as often, and if I do, I only plant my tulips in containers like this. Why don't I take this out? It'd be a lot easier. Tulips are basically just an annual for me as well. And so I've loved having the daffodils. It's in the pot, great. So I can just pop them out and replant them in spaces in my yard. The hydrangeas absolutely loved this location, but they were only 4 feet that way, which gets way more western sun in the afternoon apparently, and that is what made them so unhappy. Yay, I'm so glad I was smart. Left those in the pots. The hyacinth I planted, I was trying to get everything nice and tight. Sometimes it's a little hard to get things planted densely. I love a good densely planted container. There we go. These don't even look like hyacinths, do they? Look like a daffodil because they've like grown so long, those leaves. I need to show you my hyacinths. Hang on, we're gonna take a quick field trip and then get back to the hydrangeas. Now this is where the daffodils ended up from my window boxes. They will naturalize and look just like these beautiful ones in my front yard into nice big clumps. So this is where I put the ones from the window boxes this year. And then this cute little planter bed, you can see some more daffodils that are finished blooming, and the hyacinths were gigantic in this bed this year. So I'm actually going to deadhead a few of those and then plant this up. You can see all the beautiful pansies in here already. And I'll throw in a few petunias. I haven't decided which type I'm gonna put in just yet, but I will put in, oh, this guy needs water. I'll put in a few of those too. And then these are a fun new, we need to talk about pansies, fun new frizzle sizzle variety with the beautiful ruffled petals. Aren't those fancy? You can see in these containers right here, I actually pulled out the bulbs already, and I haven't put a new thriller in the pot. So maybe that needs to be another video, is getting these ready for the summertime, but I absolutely love these planters at the top of my staircase. These have been planted for a couple months now, and they're doing exceptionally well. I wish I had fed them a little bit more with a liquid food of some type, but I didn't. So look how gigantic those are. Coastal Sunrise pansies are these ones, and then just the sweetest little violas, and then some creeping Jenny mixed in there. Now this was not supposed to be a garden tour by any means, but I'm actually gonna go steal some of my own peony rings because I don't have enough for those hydrangeas yet. And I want to have the structure to help hold up. Those big leaf hydrangeas are just so full that I like the trick of adding a peony ring inside. So we're gonna go get one and I'll show you where I'm gonna steal those from. I'm not sure if anyone else, I do this thing called auditioning my plants. I especially do it with roses. I'll put my roses in baskets and kind of decide when I buy a bare root rose where I want them to go. We're gonna just kind of put this in. I have a blue door and I picked blue hydrangeas. Now the blue hydrangeas were supposed to go by the downstairs door, but apparently I only got white ones to go here, which was not the smartest design move that I could have made. We're gonna look at this guy and just kind of feel the vibe for a little bit, see what we think with the blue door. I think pink would have been prettier. If you don't pay attention to anything else in this video, pay attention to this. Can you see how the blue hydrangea is already in almost full bright shade, but the pink snapdragons are still in full sun? The white one, shade. This guy, I think this guy can take more sun than the florist hydrangeas. If your pot is pulled out even just 1 foot, if I move that pot 1 foot forward, or if I planted it in that container, it might hate life. So that is something really dumb, but super important about this type of hydrangea. I have a place downstairs where if I put them, they will unalive like immediately within a day or two, just because they prefer this really, really bright shade. So keep that in mind, it's very important. But the bigger question is, do we like the blue with the blue door? I am unsure, to be quite honest. Maybe if I get some lobelia to trail down outside of, these are those beautiful wave pansies. Oh my gosh, I planted those in the fall. I really hope stores start carrying the wave pansies in the fall here because look at them. Incredible. Wave actually sent these to me and they look fantastic. It's the strawberry swirl and the raspberry swirl wave spreading pansies. I don't know if I'm feeling the blue. We'll see. I'm gonna set that pink one up and then decide. I've already lost my gloves. Does anybody else do that all day long? I just have one glove left. This one's planted just like the other one. I must have had a method to my madness. The hyacinth is pulled out and the daffodils were still in their cute little pots. I'm just gently pulling these because I don't want to snap off the leaves if I can avoid it, because you want those leaves to soak up all the goodness for next time. Let's lay this guy. Now the haba is kind of that spreading one, so I don't know how that's going to work with my pansies. To be quite honest, it might just be weird. It might be amazing. You never know. It's kind of amazing, kind of weird. I wonder if I put a ring in here. Nothing like buying a mounding, cascading, I guess it's cascading. Nothing like buying a cascading hydrangea to not let it cascade. That seems odd. What do you think? Tell me your thoughts. My next super important tip on growing florist hydrangeas, don't deadhead them. I see people tell you to deadhead them all the time. I don't deadhead any of my hydrangeas until the end of the season. Hydrangeas will get some new little blooms, let me turn this, up inside, but not to the extent where I will go through and deadhead them. I actually don't deadhead any of them anymore. I love the way the colors change to subtle greens and pinks, and I think that's magical personally. If you don't love that, maybe it's not the right plant for you. I'm not sure, but I think it's a magical thing that nature does, and I just let them slowly change color throughout the season. Then I leave the blooms in the fall as well. And then since this I grow as an annual, I just compost these and grab a new one next season. If you wanted to, you could cut the blooms off in the fall and overwinter them in a garage or somewhere that had some light and give them some water every now and then. I don't have the space for that because we have a new driver and that's not gonna happen. So I just grow them as annuals at this point. Won't say I won't ever try it, but I just sure love them. If you have blooms that turn brown from not having enough water and kind of die off, that I would deadhead. I would just clip that off and I would give this an acidic fertilizer. I will link the one that I use below in my Amazon links or my Walmart links in the caption, because there's one that I actually really love for hydrangeas. It's a liquid, it's a powder that you mix in, and it will give you some more of these little blooms if you use it as directed regularly. Like I said, I just need things to be easy and simple. So I do fertilize, but not as often as I could. But they do love that. Here's something random you need to think about if you're building a house. If you have a passion and a love for white flowers, which I do, I get made fun of in the nursery because I truly love white flowers. My garden mentor, Haiti, told me how much she loved white flowers, and I was like, but they're really magical in the evening time, which is a lot of the time when I'm out with my family, is, you know, after school or after summer activities, and we're just enjoying the cool temperatures in our garden. And so I love the way that they show up kind of in the moonlight and the dusky hours. Don't paint your house white, maybe, if you love white flowers, because they just don't look as good up against a white house as they did up against my old yellow house. So keep that in mind when you're designing stuff. What color flowers do you really like to grow? Don't paint your house that color. There's the pink and there's the blue. What do you think? Pink or blue hydrangeas? You like the blue with the door. All right, well, they look what? They're just shorter. You like how the blue is sticking up more? All right, blue it is. You like the blue with the blue door? It's fine. Now I have not taken these out of the pots. I did put the ring and then put the plant inside. And then I'm gonna see if I wanna put this on still or not. I think it could look really cute, but it might also look really weird, and it might also be really annoying to get on there. I like them. I might need more hands to get that on. And my last tip for you on growing these beautiful florist hydrangeas is your soil. So I personally, again, we've established that I live in a very dry climate and I'm growing plants that love water. And I really like the Miracle-Gro moisture control that comes in the blue bag. It is balanced perfectly for what I need in my microclimate of a yard. It just stays the perfect amount of dampness. It just stays exactly the right amount of moist. I know people hate that word, but I actually love it for plants. So that's the one that I prefer to use. I'm not going to replace the soil in my planters this year. In my window boxes, I will flip some of the soil out and then put fresh soil, just the top couple inches. And I might do that at the end of kind of the springtime. I will probably pull those pansies and put something else fun and new in the front of those big blue planters by my door, because I like to try a lot of new things. So at that time, I will probably put some fresh moisture control soil in there. If you live in a humid place, you might need to look into something that has proper drainage. If you're kind of digging around and your roots are smelling gross and rotten, that could be your problem right there. So make sure that you're getting the right type of soil for your environment. If you also live in a hot, dry climate like I do, that is definitely the easiest beginner gardener place that I would start. You can also take your old potting mix and revive that. I like to use worm castings, and then I'll use little slow release fertilizer, little pellets, and mix that in with it, because those turn on when the weather gets warmer. So they actually activate when the temperatures rise and help feed your plants. And so I really love those as well. And I will mix those in or top dress those on top of my containers. You just need to remember too, if you're planting in containers that don't have a well in the bottom, that well is going to help retain some of the nutrients that you're putting in. If you're doing water-based nutrients, I like to do water-based and slow release. So if you're doing water-based nutrients, that well is going to help you not just keep your plant hydrated, but it's also going to help save you a little bit of money, because all of those nutrients aren't just flushing out every time you water your plant. Well, I hope that's very helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know what you would like to see next and subscribe, and I will see you next time.